Welcome back to the Clinic Scale podcast, the show where we go behind the scenes of what it really takes to grow a thriving clinic, elevate your leadership, and build a career you're actually proud of. Every week, we talk to the people driving the profession forward, the innovators, the doers, the builders, the ones helping chiropractors grow in every sense of the word. Today's guest has been doing exactly that for decades. Dr. Danny Scahill has been in the healing arts for more than a quarter of a century and has been a chiropractor for the last 19 years. He is the author of 2 best-selling books, Total Health Transformation and 80/20 Chiropractic, both of which have made a massive impact on chiropractors and patients around the world. He's also the founder of the Chiropractic Mindset Mastery Program and the creator and host of the CMM podcast, where he's interviewed some of the greatest minds and biggest thinkers in our profession. Through CMM, Danny helps chiropractors not just grow their business, but grow in their life, their identity, their mindset, and their capacity. His tagline sums it up perfectly. Grow your business without killing yourself. And if you're listening to this, you probably know how needed that message is in today's world. This conversation is going to cover mindset, resilience, scaling, leadership, the future of the profession, and what Danny has learned from interviewing some of our biggest thought leaders. So settle in. This is going to be a powerful one. Danny, welcome to the Clinic Scale podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, mate. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
You're very welcome. Let's start with your journey. 25 years in the healing arts, 19 years as a chiropractor. What originally drew you into this crazy world of chiropractic? And what kept you here for so long?
Great question, mate. I'll give you a condensed version. So when I was 18, I applied to do osteopathy. Did 4 years of osteopathy before chiropractic. After that, I did 5 years in chiropractic school. And as you mentioned, I've been in practice for very, very close to 20 years now. 2026 will be 20 years in practice for me. And when I was a teenager, I was lifting weights too young to get bigger and stronger for kickboxing tournaments I was in regularly at that time in my life. And I got injured one of my shoulders and my back as well, because my dad said to me when I was about 15, I said, I want to get some weights for my birthday. And he said, wait till you're 18, you'll get injured. Oh, no, you're not fully grown yet, because just for context, I mean, we've met loads of times, Andy. I'm only 5'7" now, but when I was 15, 16, I was about 5 foot nothing. So I lifted weights too young, got injured. What child listens to their advice of their parents when they're a teenager? Not many. And so I got injured, and that ultimately led me to become a chiropractor. And I've been in practice now certainly practicing chiropractic, because I don't have a practice anymore, for best part of 20 years now. And these days I locum. I've had a practice before, which I'm sure we'll cover in the chat today. That's kind of a very, very condensed version of the last quarter of a century, mate.
All right, wow. So an injury really started this whole thing off. So what kept you here for so long, Danny? What's made you stay?
Great question as well, mate. Yeah, well, the love of chiropractic. You know, I didn't start out as a chiropractor. It was osteopathy for me. And then I went through chiropractic school. And like most of I trained at WEOC, graduated in 06. And I remember, is it okay if I swear on the podcast, Andy, or shall I keep it clean?
However you like, Danny. Be your authentic self.
Cool. Thank you. So my mentor at the time was a former, one of the, I always thought he was the first, but I found out recently he was the second president of the UCA, Frank McBride. He was a mentor of mine for many, many years, all the way through chiropractic school and many years beyond as well. And he says to me, Danny, he's a Scouser as well. He says, that's not fucking chiropractic you're getting taught in college, Dan. I said, I know, Frank, I know. I'm just keeping my head down, getting me a bit of paper, then I'll get out of school and I'll practice the way I want to. Frank was a very passionate guy. And so yeah, he really instilled to me chiropractic philosophy, because we got taught none of that in chiropractic school. I remember somebody saying to our principal at the time, in year one of chiropractic school, loads of open minds sat in the room, really, going to be hoping to be inspired by their tutors and principals, and certainly taught things the right way. So in the very beginning, somebody said, a good mate of mine whose dad started the Italian Chiropractic Association many years ago. He said to the principal at the time, I won't name names, principal at the time, he asked a question about innate intelligence. What is it and why is it important to chiropractic? And he says, never mind innate intelligence, we'll get people better in 8 weeks. And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. So I remember telling Frank about that when I was home on one of my summer holidays or whatever. And he was like, see, I told you, Dan, you're not getting taught chiropractic there. So it was Frank who was initially instilling chiropractic philosophy to me, and then loads and loads of the greats. Like Frank used to bring over James Chestnut back in the day to do the Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well workshops. James was one of the inspirations for my first book, Total Health Transformation. And so it's all of these different greats getting inspiring us in many, many seminars like Chiropractic Essentials, loads of masterminds, loads of other events I've attended over the years. It's that's kept me in chiropractic, and also the fact that until the Scotland Chiropractic College came around, and they're in the second cohort now, and I've been a founding member of that, been donating to that course since before it was built. It was just an idea in the beginning, like all good things, they start out as an idea. And so supporting the Chiropractic College in Scotland, that's a big thing. Like my latest book, the Chiropractic Mindset Mastery book, all of the profits from that go to the chiropractic school in Scotland. For those people that didn't know that, go and buy the book. You'll be helping the Scotland College. So hopefully that answers your question, mate.
Yeah, thank you so much. You just mentioned your books there. I actually have 2 of your books right here. Because I remember you came, I think that's been 2 years ago now, you came to our clinic in Christchurch and you gave a talk to some of the students there, and you were giving out your books at that point. So I have Total Health Transformation and 80/20 Chiropractic. So these are firmly on our bookshelf for our chiropractors to read. So you've written not 1, not 2, but 3 books now. What was it that inspired you to write these initial books, and what core ideas do you feel chiropractors need to hear most from these books?
Okay, so Total Health Transformation, or THT, I call for short. THT, as I mentioned a minute ago, James Chestnut was one of the big inspirations for that. He talks about eat well, move well, think well. Mine is slightly different to that in terms of not wanting to use the exact same words. Eat, move, and think on purpose is the whole principle behind that first book, THT. And that purpose is to take our health from where it is to where we would all absolutely love our health to be. Because, anytime I have done health workshops in the past, in the practice and external, when we were in practice, everyone always wants more health. Everyone always wants more energy. Everyone always wants more peace of mind. And so, yeah, James was one of the big inspirations for that first book. And also, when I was an associate way back in 2006, I practiced in Dublin for a few years. And I'll never forget it. My principal at the time, the principal chiropractor, it was his practice, he said to me, Dan, you're going to have to be doing health workshops at some point soon, like orientation classes, or we call them induction workshops, or in the latter years we call them better results faster, whatever word or phrase you want to use. I remember my boss at the time, Daz, he said, I'm not putting any pressure on you right away, Danny, to do it straight away, but you are going to have to do them soon. And I said, well, when's the first opportunity to do it, Daz? And he said, next Monday. I said, okay, great. Let's do it next Monday. And so once I started doing those workshops, I realized I really loved it. And so that was another inspiration to write the book. It was like the content I was teaching regularly in these workshops. Because just for context, that role I was in for 18 months, maybe 2 years, every single Monday, every single week, I did a workshop, and I was out doing spinal screenings every Thursday. This was all in Dublin, and it was a great, you could say it was my apprenticeship right from the get go. Screenings every week, talks every week. And yeah, so they combined, they made the inspiration to do that first book, THT.
Yeah, got ya. And what about 80/20 chiropractor? 6 simple ways to improve your health that most doctors won't tell you. What would you say the core ideas of that book will help? So is that more designed for, would you say, for chiropractors or just for anyone?
It would definitely be useful to chiropractors as a refresher because, you know, as chiropractors, we always know what we, inverted commas, should know, but we can easily forget things. We're human beings, get out of good habits and into bad habits. One of my mentors years ago, not in chiropractic, but a mentor all the same, he said to me, to know and not do is to not know. And so anytime someone says, I know that, but they're not doing it, then they don't know it. So it's easy for us all to forget these really simple concepts. Most fundamentals of health are very basic, but you can either do them or not do them. So, and when you don't do them, obviously your health's not going to be where you want it to be, whether you're a chiropractor or any other profession in the world. If you don't do the fundamentals, you can't be your best. That's just a fact. And so, yeah, so I guess the fundamentals of a chiropractic lifestyle is the 80/20 and the THT. Similar principles but different. I wouldn't say, I'd say they complement each other rather than one building on the other, if that makes sense, Andy.
Yeah, yeah, I've got you. Danny, so I really want to talk to you about the Chiropractic Mindset Mastery Program. Grow your business without killing yourself. Your CMM program has a powerful tagline. What does that actually mean in practice, and how did you come up with that?
Good question, mate. So, like many business owners, because I would imagine this podcast that we're on right now, the clinic Scahill, this is probably aimed at chiropractic business owners, maybe associates as well. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, mainly we attract chiropractic business owners. We do allow others to come in. So someone once said to me, don't let your passion limit your potential. So chiropractic is my passion, but we do open up to all clinic owners that want to grow their practices.
Nice, very cool. So, in terms of the tagline, grow your business without killing yourself, I, like many other business owners throughout my life, have been burnt out many times. And I'm guessing many of the people listening and watching this show can attest to have been burnt out at some point in their business lifetime. And so I've that's happened to me probably 2 or 3 times, and then I was like, hang on, this keeps on happening. Let's find a way to make it not happen again. And it never has done. Because, like as chiropractors, we often say to people, don't we, to our clients, patients, whatever phrase you want to use. I like to use the word clients. Listen to your body. And when we don't listen to our body, that's when we can run into problems. The same sort of principles apply to running your business. Many people, many of my mentors in the past have taught one way: hustle, 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 hustle. Now that can work to an extent for most people, to a degree. That leads to burnout, and so yes, it can work for some people, some business owners, some personality types. Doesn't work for all. So what I've found, in terms of in the CMM program, those people that don't want to get burnt out need to do it a different way. So what do I mean by that? Chiropractic principles, the physical, chemical, emotional stress that we're all exposed to on a day-to-day basis and we expose ourselves to, those same principles need to apply in your business as well. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you some context as to where that came from, Andy. It's not a nice place to be burnt out. I don't wish that on anyone anymore. Not that I ever did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Danny, I can totally relate to that. I think every business owner, every chiropractor has been burnt out at some point, and it's usually when they're not doing those fundamentals, right? I think we're kind of taught this thing in society is like, work hard. If you work hard, you'll become successful. But I've always believed in working smart, and that came from a position like yourself of being burnt out at different points in my career. So when I was a chiropractor, I started my career after graduating in Essex, and I was working in a clinic there, and I was seeing about 160 people a week, and great numbers. Most people would strive to that and see that as success, but for me, that didn't feel like success because I would end the day feeling absolutely exhausted and burnt out. And it got to a point where I felt like there must be another way. I must make a change. If I don't make a change, like I'm done. Like, this is not worth it to me. And then I found a coach. I joined a group. I started masterminding with the like-minded individuals, and I grew my practice to 7 figures in 2 years. Not just by myself, but by building a team around me that helped me reach that potential. And that's we've just gone on and on from there. So I've realized that in order to be successful, you do need to work in a very smart way. It's not just about the hustle, like you said. It's about having systems, it's using good software, it's having processes, and building a team around you that helps fulfill your vision. So yeah, I can totally relate to that one, Danny. With the Chiropractic Mindset Mastery Program, obviously, you're mainly helping chiropractors, but you do extend beyond that, like we do. What are the most common mindset blocks you see holding chiropractors and others that you're coaching back from both business success and personal fulfillment? What are those mindset blocks?
Great question, mate. Mindset blocks. So I would say one of the big ones is a resistance to doing some form of meditation, whether that be I haven't got time for that, or I've tried that before and it didn't work for me. That's a common one. And so, I've been meditating now for getting on for 16 years, twice a day, every day. Particularly, I remember the first 3 years, I never missed a single meditation, properly religious about it. And I always do my very best to do it 2 times a day these days. But I'd be lying if I said I'm always as religious about it as I was in those first 3 years. So whatever kind of meditation you do, it's really important to do it regular. And for me, it's twice a day, every day is always the aim. Occasionally that doesn't happen exactly as planned, but because life happens. But one of the big mindset blocks that many people have, like I've interviewed loads and loads of people on the CMM podcast, as you mentioned, and even some of those guys and gals have said, I've tried meditation, it didn't work for me. I'm not obviously not naming any names. The reality is, anyone who tries meditation and goes in there with the thought process that the idea is to stop thoughts, that's impossible. The human brain thinks, it's always thinking, thoughts happen. So if people have this distorted idea as to what meditation is, and if they can't do it that way, then they've failed at it. It's madness. Like, because when I do the meditation, it's mantra based for me. So I say a mantra over and over, and sometimes thoughts come into my mind, as they do, because I'm alive and I'm a human being, same with anyone else who is. And so having that reminder to just go back to the mantra rather than beating myself up because I'm thinking about what am I having for dinner tonight or what am I doing this afternoon in my business or whatever. You just allow yourself to, okay, forgive yourself if you need to. say, let's get back to the mantra. It's okay. I was thinking, now I'm going to go back to the mantra. And people often said to me in the beginning when I was learning, when I'd been meditating just a year or two, what is it you get from meditation? And I couldn't really answer them that well in the beginning, Andy.
Hmm.
These days, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's very, very clear. If I meditate, I have clarity of thought, I have better focus, better concentration, better productivity. If I don't meditate, for example, if I'm on holiday and I miss a day or two, things just feel differently in my. I'm less able to be present with what I'm doing, whether that's business, personal, or whatever it may be. Less present if not meditating regular, less focus, less productivity, less concentration. So a mindset block, a resistance to meditating is a common one I've found.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's a big one. And I mean, meditation is becoming much more mainstream now. Are there any other mindset blocks you see? I mean, could it be based on the education, the institution that they come from, the way in which they would practice? Do you see a common theme in that?
I do, yeah. I mean, I remember when I was in chiropractic school, I went to WEOC, and I remember the every institution, whatever that institution is, they indoctrinate people in their ways, and indoctrination can be good, can be not so good. I remember one of the indoctrinations that they implanted in us, if you like, or influenced us. You can either listen to it or you don't. I remember they really vilified open plan practice, so much so that in the beginning, I um, I was like, no, that's not a great thing. It's like a production line kind of thing. So then in the first, I think it was the first, certainly the first 3 years or so, it was just closed room for me. Sometimes it was going between one room to the other, but it was closed room. And then when I moved back to the UK, I was like, I'm ready for open plan. I've been getting adjusted in open plan. So, wherever you are, you find a chiropractor who resonates with you, and you adjust each other regularly. You know, absolutely when I can, I will get checked every single week. And so I was getting adjusted in Dublin in an open plan practice. Like, this is cool. This isn't anything like the way they told us it was when we were in college as students. And the energy was just different. It's just an amazing energy, amazing feel in a room getting adjusted with other people, multiple benches. So then when I moved back to the UK, I was like, right, I'm going to find a practice, open plan. And I never looked back. I was open plan ever since. So of those, almost 20 years, at least three quarters of it, over three quarters of it have been open plan. That's a common mindset block I do see, certainly initially when working with clients in the CMM program who are closed room. There's a resistance to open plan. I'm like, you need to do it. I'm not going to force you to do it, but you need to do it at some point in your career, and we will have a conversation about it in future, and you will tell me it's the best thing you've ever done for
Why'd you
many
say
reasons.
that? Why'd you say that? Why is that the best thing they will do in their career, working in an open plan way?
It's a great question, that, because it's a question I often get. So I've found working in, because when I do locums, more often than not, it's closed room. I much prefer it open plan because that's the way I've done it for most of my career. So I find I could, as a chiropractor, see, let's say for argument's sake, that number is 50 people in a day, open plan. At the end of that day, I've got loads more energy. In fact, I've got more energy than I started with. Don't get me wrong, I might be like, oh, that was a great day. I'm ready to chill out for the evening kind of thing, but I'm not tired. If I was to see 50 people closed room, I would be absolutely exhausted because it's like you start like give you some context like where I'm adjusting right now on this locum I'm on. It's like you close the room, start the process again. They put the bags down, they take the shoes off, they have a lie face down. It's just, I find it exhausting. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I hear you. So it's about energy for you. So you enjoy working in an open plan space because you feel more energized from that process rather than having to see one person after the next and going through the whole process individually.
Yeah, it's
There is a
energy.
different energy, I would say, in open plan spaces.
Yeah,
However, on the flip side of it, uh, the other argument is people feel that in the UK, for example, individuals are much more private and they prefer to have a one-to-one conversation with their chiropractor each visit. But I know open plan, there's a way around it by having that private consultation room. If you want to have a private discussion, just come to the consultation room, we can have a chat. I know that facility is available, but it's very interesting to hear your insights on that. The CMM podcast, you've must have had so many amazing lessons from some of the greats in our profession and beyond. How many episodes are you up to now, Danny? It's quite
just about an hour ago, episode 88 was published.
88. That's amazing. Well done. That's
Thank you.
this is consistency, right? Consistency beats motivation every time. So
Always.
a lot of people are motivated to do things in life, but it's really the consistency that will make things become a reality. So I think that's awesome that you've done so many episodes. That's really cool to see. And so after interviewing so many incredible leaders on your podcast, have you had any big takeaways? Have there been like common themes, patterns, or truths that you've learned from talking to so many of these individuals?
Yeah, there's been loads of lessons and loads of reinforcements of beliefs I had anyway. Um, so if I think of some big names or some of the big air names, and also some of the most engaging episodes from my perspective as the interviewer, Sean Dill episode was amazing. I remember him talking about when he used to practice in Costa Rica. In fact, he was instrumental in setting up the legislation in that country for chiropractic because they didn't have any prior to that. I remember him speaking about, he talked a lot about the importance of coaching and mentoring and the difference between the two, and how it's super important that everyone has coaches and mentors in their life to help speed up the process to get where they want to go to. I remember him talking about in Costa Rica, always used to practice upper cervical specific, so he was focusing on the upper cervical, obviously. And he was talking about how he used to see, on average, 250 per day. And I think he said the most he ever saw
250 per day.
per day. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Yeah,
Wow.
I was a bit taken aback by that when he said that on the show at the time, and he said his record was just over 350 in one day. He said he wouldn't recommend that though, Andy, because at the end of that
I can
day
imagine.
he
I
was
can imagine.
broken.
Yeah.
He said he didn't at the end of the day he didn't want to go. He didn't feel like going back into practice the next day because he was knackered in every way, shape, or form. Uh, but regularly, he would see 250 a day. That was his average, and so yeah, that was a mind expander because most chiropractors, if they're doing anything other than upper cervical specific, because you don't need long if you just adjust an upper cervical. Hence the way he was able to see. I think he said he used to track an average of 24 to 28 adjustments per hour. So it was 2 minutes or less per person. Physically, it would be a lot easier to see massive volume like that if you're just doing one adjustment per person. If you're doing full spine, it would probably be a bit more challenging to see 250 to 350 per day. I'm not saying it's impossible because some people do it. But yeah, that was a mind shift moment of the podcast. I remember having Tim Young on the show as well. That was an amazing show also. I remember him talking a lot about discipline and focus. and to not be afraid of anyone. I remember he was telling us a story about when he was, I think he said he was about 7 or 8. He was in school, junior school or whatever they call it in America, I forget. And there was a bully who used to chase him from school to the bus stop every single day. And he was terrified of this guy, and he'd run away, and he'd just about escape every day to get on the bus. And he said, I remember one time, Dan, I just decided, I don't know exactly why I did it, but I turned around as this guy was chasing me. And I turned around, planted one of my feet, punched him in the nose as hard as I could, and he never, ever, ever bothered me ever again. And I learned that day, and I decided for myself, I will not ever be bullied by anyone ever again in my life. And he said the next week he saw this bully in the toilets, and he said, in the moment he was terrified. He was thinking, my life is over. This bully's going to kill me. And once the guy comes in, Tim Young is stood there. He's looking at the guy. The guy looks at him. The guy looks at him, and he could not get out of there fast enough. He was terrified of Tim, which was amazing because Tim was like, he was probably tinier than I was at that point, because I said before I was really small when I was a kid. And so Tim learned something in the moment: never be bullied by anyone. And so that was he told loads of great stories in that episode. That was one of the biggies, though, I thought.
Yeah. Would you say Tim Young is the biggest name you've had on your podcast, or do you have others as well that you could name drop?
Yeah, Liam Schubel's been on there. I mean, Sean Dill's a big name in chiropractic. Off the top of my head, Brock McCurdy is a growing name in the profession with his chiropractic outcomes and stuff like that. There's been loads. I'm in conversation. I've not got this one over the line yet, but I'm in conversations with Dr. DeMartini's team about having DeMartini on the show, because he's a big mentor, and you could say a hero of mine, not just purely from chiropractic, because he calls himself a behavioral specialist these days, doesn't he? And so
he started his career in chiropractic, didn't he? I mean, he's a massive name. If you can land him from on your podcast, I'm sure that would be incredible.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, he travels. He lives on a ship called the World with lots of other high net worth individuals, and
he does
docks to different places. And apparently, there's a helipad on there or something crazy like that. So, but yeah, that would be a cool one to have, wouldn't it? So
definitely,
you've clearly learned a lot, and they say, the person that learns the most on the podcast is the interviewer, right? So, was there one particular guest that created a real shift in how you think about your practice or your leadership or general business management? Is there someone that comes to mind?
In terms of if I wanted to go down the route of having multiple practices, there was a couple of people that stood out that talk quite a bit about that. One of them was Liam Schubel, as I mentioned. He talks about global chiropractic, as in taking over the world kind of energy. And also Travis Corcoran, who's a different energy, but very, very inspiring in his own way.
Yeah, Travis is awesome. I interviewed Travis earlier this week. 29 clinics. It's insane. Yeah. 29 clinics he's built. I know it's a mix of franchising and licensing, and we're really delving deep into that on our podcast. But
absolutely,
these guys are thought leaders, aren't they?
Definitely. Liam's got 33, or certainly did at time of recording that episode. Travis, I thought it was 30, but it's close enough, 29. So those guys, Liam's is across 3 countries. I always thought it was mainly Peru, but it's Peru, Colombia, and Dominican Republic as practices are spread across. And so if I ever wanted to go down that route of having multiple practices, those guys, picking the brains of those guys would be phenomenally important for those listeners of your show, that are listeners and viewers that want to scale to multiple practices. Those guys will be, you know, kind of right up there being leaders in that kind of that framework, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, like myself, you want to spread chiropractic as far as humanly possible. We want to spread the word and get as many people as possible under chiropractic care. And one of the ways in which I say we should do that is through really, really good marketing. If you think about the pharmaceutical industry, I've spoken to Travis about this. The pharmaceutical industry did a very good job of marketing themselves, but not just marketing themselves, but they also lobbied for pharmaceuticals. And we kind of got into that. If we were to take over the world with chiropractic, Danny, where do you think that starts? Do you think it's by building these monster clinics that serve hundreds and hundreds of people every week? Or do you think we really need a seat at the table, at the pharmaceutical table? Or do we need to set up our own table, and be a different table, like Travis likes to say? Where do you think that starts?
Great question, mate. I like that concept that you mentioned. Travis says set up a different table or be on a different table, because I can't see how we could possibly ever be on the same table as Big Pharma. It's a we're principal chiropractors, and we want to honor the principle. So we can't, in my opinion, we can't be getting in bed with Big Pharma. We could learn from them in terms of the the marketing machine that they are. We could definitely learn from them that. Like my mum always used to say, or still does to this day, whatever the thing you're looking at, take the good from it that you can, leave the bad behind, whatever the context. And so we can learn about how to market and market well. So that there are some things they do well. There's other things which we won't get into that they don't do well, and they don't do ethically. So we want to do things well and we want to do it ethically. We can certainly model some of the good things that they do, but to do that though, obviously they have bottomless pits of money, very very deep pockets. Whereas at this point in time, chiropractic can't compare in terms of the amount of marketing spend that they can put into it. But where does that start? Well, there's loads of great organizations, like UCA is a great organization. I've been as have you, been a member of that for a long, long time. There's the IFCO that Travis talks about a lot, International Federation of Chiropractic and Organizations. And so that's a great thing. There's another organization that has recently launched, which I think Travis is quite heavily involved with. I forget the name of that. Do you recall the name of that at all, mate?
Don't recall it right now. But there's plenty out there. It's just how are chiropractors supporting them? I know
Yeah,
Dr. Travis was saying with the IFCO, if every
yeah,
single chiropractor just donated just a small fraction of their income to, then we'd see a massive change in the scope of this profession. And he also says about, if we really want to change this profession, really want to make a global impact, we have to kind of agree firstly on what it is and what it is that we're doing, and how do you define chiropractic, and starting from the students, which is why he's so heavily involved with student education.
it's a good point.
Yeah, hopefully we do see a change. I think it's coming. You feel something in the air that people are seeking alternative medicine. We are considered primary healthcare practitioners in the UK, and I think that people are slowly seeing that maybe they should speak to the chiropractor first before they speak to the GP, for certain things. So let's see. Hopefully, when we talk again, Danny, in 10 years' time, maybe we'll see that big shift. Who knows? So
That's that's our intention.
that's the intention. That's the mission, right? In terms of you running your program, I want to talk about now the self-leadership, energy, juggling all of these things together. Now, you're running a program, hosting a podcast, you're writing books, you're working with clients, and you're still remaining centered. Obviously, through the meditation helps a lot with that. Is there a way in which you manage your time, your energy, your personal life, so that you don't burn out? Do you have any other habits or non-negotiables or routines that help you stay in that headspace and really productive?
Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to meditation, what I'll often do, I don't do this bit every day, but I do it as often as I possibly can. Just before this call, actually, I was doing some breath work. It's a combination of Joe Dispenza type breathing and also followed by some Wim Hof type breathing, which I learned from the guys who do Syntropy, Pat and Aaron. I was aware of Wim Hof, but I really got into it once I started doing some Syntropy training. So that really helps. That when there's some challenges in the day, whatever it might be, whether it's business or personal, and you just don't feel right. Getting, if you can spare 10, 15, 20 minutes to do some breath work, that can really get you back into, I always say, back in the game. So it often can get you back in the game very, very quickly and very easily. And non negotiable every single day for me as well is doing doing gratitude or practicing gratitude, however you want to look at it. I have a journal, which I do. I tend to do it the night before. I'll tell you why I do it the night before in a second. But there's 5 to 10 things that I'm grateful for. But in addition to that, it's not just that I'm grateful. How does that make me feel? Is a key thing. I call that gratitude on steroids because it amplifies the effect of gratitude. And so I'll also
Gratitude on
write this.
steroids. I love that.
Yeah, it really is. And so, like, so you'd say, for example, I'm grateful for my health. Well, how does that make me feel? That makes me feel energy, makes me feel love, whatever it might be. Um, and so that's super important. There's also a paragraph how I intend my day to be. Just 2 to 5 sentences, whatever you want that next day to be. And then at the end of the day, 3 to 5 things that have been successful that day. And just to circle back to why I do it the day before, I'll do it before bed because I'm setting my intention for tomorrow. And when I go to sleep, my subconscious can work on that intention for me. That amplifies the effect of that even more so. So that's a pro tip right there. Do it the night before if you can, because it allows your subconscious to amplify those intentions and that gratitude that you're putting out there. And you can even be grateful for stuff that you don't yet have, acting as if you've got it already, creating that energy and intention around that. So hopefully that
I
answers your
love that.
question.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Danny. Um, in terms of other non-negotiables that you have with sort of leadership and your business, is there anything else that you do to keep yourself organized?
Definitely. Code of honor. And those people that have not read Team Code of Honor by Blair Singer, I would recommend reading it. Very good book, very simple. Principles are very simple, but the fundamentals. So a code of honor in the business, code of honor, me and Claire have a code of honor in our relationship as well, which we review every single month. And I have a team code of honor. I have a code of honor for my CMM clients, which they are read through at the beginning of every coaching call. And so when we used to have the chiropractic practice, which we sold just over a year ago in September last year, we'd start off every meeting with a code of honor. Literally every team member would read through it out loud. And every quarter we'd review the code of honor. Do we need to change that, edit it, add a word, take a word out, etc., etc. And so we, the way, what was it now? Live by the sword, die by the sword. So we live by the code and die by it, and I hire by it, and I fire by it. Very open and honest with people, even at interview stage. I hire on this, and I will fire on it. And so code of honor, non-negotiable. And those that might think it's a bit out there to have a relationship code of honor. It's a real game changer because
How
it's
does sorry to interrupt, how does the code of honor differ from core values?
a good question. There's definite similarities. Um, code of honor really has behind it the code of honor values, a value speech behind it. So, for example, let me see. I should have right now in the side of my phone our original code of honor from CCC. Hopefully, it's there. Yeah, it's a bit battered, but it's still there.
Okay,
And so it's got 8 points on it. I won't go through all of it unless you want me to. It wouldn't take long.
please do share them.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So I think I might. I think you mentioned that time I gave a talk at your practice to lots of students and stuff like that. I talked about code of honor and that quite a bit actually from memory. So that thank you for mentioning that because that's just reminded me of that. So the first one is to show up early and be present, have fun, celebrate all wins, and goose often. Honest, prompt, and direct communication. Take full responsibility, ask for help, and never leave a teammate behind. That last bit wasn't on the original one, but we reviewed it at some point and we added that to it. Honour all agreements and be accountable. No blame, justification, or denial. Finish whatever you start and plurk at 100%. I'll explain what plurk means in a minute. Do not take feedback personally, use it for personal growth. So they were our original code of honor for CCC, and my CMM, Chiropractic Mindset Mastery code of honor is very similar to that because I couldn't think of anything better to add to it, quite frankly, because it served us so well in practice in our team. And so code of honor is a non-negotiable, and I would recommend that anybody implements it in their business and their life as well. Yeah, plurk. I was going to explain what that means.
and please, can you explain what goose means?
Yes.
I know which book it comes from, but can you please explain to our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the goose, first time I heard Ryan talk about that in one of his masterminds, I nearly fell off my chair when I heard him say goose. Because
Dr. Ryan Ryder. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In one of his masterminds many moons ago, I nearly fell off my seat when he started talking about goosing, because where I come from, goosing means something completely different, as I'm sure it does for many of the viewers and listeners as well. So to goose means to give praise, and because basically celebrating successes of team members, acknowledging to goose is to it's so powerful in a team, isn't it, Andy? It makes a huge difference. Like because geese when they fly in a pack or however they fly in a formation, don't they? And you often hear them honking. They're basically cheering each other on, and so that's important in a business for sure. It's important in relationships. And the word plurk, I first heard from the late, great John Himwood many years ago when I used to coach with his company many moons ago. Powerful Practices, what that was back in the day. And he used to say, I don't work, I play, but I can't do an Aussie accent, so I'm not even going to try. But Judy, his wife, she doesn't play, she doesn't work, she does a mixture of both. Plurk. And I thought that is amazing, and I carried it forward with me ever since. And then I brought
Love
that
that.
into the practice.
So it's
I
kind of
do
like a
too.
mix of yeah, work hard and play hard. So yeah, plug. I like that. Love that. Um, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Danny. I really, really appreciate that. So obviously our coaching program, our coaching system is called Clinic Scale. When you look at chiropractors and other health professionals who do scale sustainably and don't burn out and don't blow up their life in the process of trying to scale, what do you think separates them from those who stay stuck or crash and burn out? Those ones that are really achieving amazing things. You know, you mentioned a few names like Liam Schugel, Travis Cochran, Tim Young. What separates these people?
There's a few things that come to mind there. There's being able to lead people is a skill set in itself. So being a good leader, being amazing at communication, do whatever training you need to do to get to that stage, because you need to grow a team to be able to scale a business, whether that's a coaching business or a clinic. So yeah, leadership and communication. There is, and tied into that is the ability to build a team. To be able to build a team, you've got to communicate well. You've got to be able to lead those people, lead from the front, inspire people. And also you've got to have systems as well if you want to scale anything, because the Liams of this world and the Travises of this world, I don't know the exact ins and outs of all the systems they use, but it's got to be highly systematized. There's got to be a lot of automation there, and there's got to be a lot of empowering and inspiring of people through leadership to be able to have those businesses run. Like Liam was saying on the episode of CMM he was saying the closest one of my practices is 5,000 miles away to where he lives in New Jersey. The closest
Wow.
was 5,000 miles away.
Crazy.
So clearly you've got to have loads of solid systems in there.
Yeah.
You've got to have great team members, and clearly they must have a code of honor of some description, because in Liam's case, he's 5,000 miles away from his nearest employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you, Danny, is good, strong leadership and great systems.
Yes.
And then once you've got those things, you scale from there. You double down and scale, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Danny, thank you so much for answering that one. Before we wrap up, and we are coming to the end of this episode, and I'm sure our listeners can agree that you've got so many insights just from not only from your own experience running clinics, running coaching groups, writing many books, but just the fact that you've interviewed so many leaders in this profession and beyond. Something I love to ask everyone that we invite onto our show, our signature closing question, if you like, is if you could put a message on a billboard outside every chiropractic college in the world, what would it say?
I was thinking about that because you mentioned that before, and billboard, I want to keep it as succinct as I can. So get a mentor, stick to the principle, commit to it. Something like that, mate.
Yeah, I love
Get a
that.
mentor,
Get a mentor, stick to it.
principle, commit to it.
Get a mentor, stick to the principle, and commit to it. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, mentorship. What is mentorship to you? I mean, if I'm a new chiropractor coming out of university and I want to open my own clinic, why would you say that mentorship is so important, Danny?
Great question.
Why should you find a coach? Why is it important to have a coach?
It's so important on many levels, and there's the distinction between a mentor and a coach is an important one as well. Mentors, technically speaking, have to have been where you want to go. Coaches don't, and people often get confused with that, because a lot of coaching has to do with asking great questions to make to empower and allow, really, because some people need to be sounds crazy, doesn't it, being give themselves permission to actually to think. And so mentors have to have been there, technically speaking, to be able to mentor, so they can show you the way. They've already walked the path for you, so you can learn from their mistakes, not repeat their mistakes. One of my mentors years ago always said, whilst I was still an associate, learn on somebody else's dime. And so, because, as a business owner, obviously the buck stops with the business owner. So if the associates are smart, they'll learn as much as they can on their boss's dime, so to speak. Whereas the coach doesn't necessarily have to have been there. For example, if you think about it, when Tiger Woods was at the top of his game, he had somewhere between 5 and 10 coaches at any one time. Now, were his coaches better than him at golf? Not a chance. Were they better at asking great questions so they could get him to slightly refine his swing or putt or whatever? I'm not a golfer. I don't know the ins and outs of it. They were the best at drawing out that little extra 1% from him, changing his perspective if it was necessary, So coaches are great at instilling ideas, making you think, getting you to come to your own conclusions. Yes, both coaches and mentors will hold you accountable to get to where you want to go to. There is a distinction between the two. And why do people straight out of university need mentors and coaches? Well, it's going to speed up the journey of them for them to get where they want to get to. It also, crucially, from most of the institutions, in my opinion, apart from the Scotland College, and most likely apart from the Barcelona College as well, it helps you to unlearn a lot of the shit you've just learnt in college. Because most of it is dead wrong. There's a little bit of it that I learnt in chiropractic school, probably 5% or less. Mostly the adjusting, the basics of the adjusting. The vast majority of everything else, for me personally, I just I didn't use in chiropractic practice and don't to this day. So find a mentor, whoever that may be, find a coach, whoever that may be, learn from their mistakes, and you'll just be able to move forward so much faster.
Couldn't agree with you more. Danny, thank you so much. What I love about your work and what I think really came through today is your commitment to helping chiropractors grow without sacrificing their health, their family, their identity, without killing themselves, as you like to say. I think now that message is needed more than ever. Your books have changed lives. Your CMM program is transforming chiropractors from the inside out, and your podcast has become a real source of wisdom for people who want to expand their thinking, not just their numbers. I don't know any other podcasters that have just as many episodes as you do. So well done for leading from the front there. For everyone listening, please do go follow Danny's podcast, check out his books, his content. All of the links to those things will be in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click on one of the links. And please make sure you subscribe to our podcast too, the Clinic Scale podcast. We drop new episodes every single week. You can also join our newsletter via the link in the bio for exclusive behind the scenes insights. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Andy Kurt for daily clinic growth content, marketing strategies, and leadership lessons. Danny, this was a brilliant episode. Thank you so much again for coming on the show. And I look forward to seeing you again in person. Hopefully we don't leave it so long this time. And keep doing what you're doing. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Cheers.